everyone. My name is Alison Woodall, and I'm a relocation coach. That means I get to help you with the financial, logistical, and emotional issues that make moving to a new state so stressful. And today I am talking to Tyler Williamson, and he's a realtor in Southwest Missouri. Tyler, welcome.
Oh, hello.
Well, I am so excited to talk to you because I love Missouri. I think it's one of the prettiest states, but it's a state that I don't know that much about. I've never lived there. I've just traveled through it. So before we get started on your market and everything, can you kind of tell me a little bit about yourself, how long you've lived in Missouri and what you love about it?
Yes. My name again is Tyler Williamson. I've lived in Missouri since 1995. What I love about Missouri is it's awesome. There's plenty of outdoor activities to do. You've got crystal clear streams, beautiful lakes. Specifically around the Springfield area, we have about 4 to 5 different lakes that are within an hour to an hour and a half. Multiple rivers that are within that same distance. The people are awesome. And if you're looking for a more conservative state, this is definitely the place you want to be.
Wonderful. And so for the people who don't really know where Missouri is in relation to anything else, obviously it's, central USA. Where are you in relation to other big cities and kind of in the US?
So we're about 3 hours east of St. Louis. I'm trying to think what else here.
South of Kansas City?
Yes, south of Kansas City. That's about all the big cities that we have that are, that people are going to know.
Yeah, it's right in the middle of the US in the beautiful part, and so you've got a lot of trees, and it's kind of now. And are you near Lake of the Ozark? Is that kind of your area?
Yes, we're about an hour and a half directly south of Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay, because I always think of when I drove through Missouri, I know the top of Missouri, when you go kind of Kansas City to St. Louis, it's just flat and it's cornfields. But when you get much more south, it's more like the Arkansas, it's the hills, it's the trees, lakes, and it's just beautiful. That was what I kind of think of Missouri as split like that.
Yes, we're actually in the Ozark Mountains, which to people that actually live in real mountains, it's not going to be mountains, but it's awesome. You got big hillsides and, like you said, trees everywhere, rivers. It's awesome.
Okay. Yeah. My kind of mountains. I like looking at big, tall mountains, but if I'm actually going to go hiking or exploring, I'd rather have low mountains that you can actually get to the top of and see the view.
Definitely. Yeah, you can hike all of our mountains. No problem.
Well, perfect. So let's talk about your market. Now we kind of know where you are in the US. So, tell me about your market. How big is your market? What kind of properties do you cover? Just a little bit about it.
Sure. So I deal in residential. Our market right now is super hot. And a big part of that is due to the supply and demand issue. All of our contractors are a lot of them are booked up 4 to 6 months out, just because it's crazy.
What would be your kind of average price point?
Okay, our average price point is right around $233,000.
Okay, which to a Californian is just crazy because an average price point in California is, depending on where you are, could be like 800,000. So what would 250? I always think 250,000 is a good number. What would that get you, kind of in your area, in your market?
Sure. So for 250, you could easily get a 4 or 5 bedroom, 2 or 3 bathroom house. Maybe an acre in a nice area. It's not going to be a dumpy, like I'm assuming Californians will be used to for that price. It's nothing like what you guys are used to in that price range. Okay.
I don't think there is a house or even a tiny 1-bedroom studio in California for 250,000. The prices are crazy. Okay. And so like, that property, would you be near a town? Because I think about Springfield as kind of the big town in your area or in your market. That 250,000, would that be reasonably close to Springfield where you've got all the amenities and everything that you need?
Absolutely. That is in the town of Springfield for sure.
Okay. And Springfield has Walmart, Costco, Target, good schools. What about schools?
Yes. And Ozark and Nixa are kind of like some smaller towns that are within 10 to 15 minutes of Springfield. And those have some of the best schools in the state.
Okay. And do you have any colleges if people have college age kids?
We do. We have Missouri State is our biggest college. That's a D1 school. We have Drury University, which is a D2. And then we also have several Christian schools, several Bible schools, and several like VOTEC schools.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
And then, so if you get further out from Springfield, if someone's wanting like acres of land with beautiful trees, do you have those kind of properties with bigger amounts of more amounts of land?
Absolutely. So Springfield, you got Springfield, Nixa, and Ozark all right by each other in Republic. And then once you get outside of those, it's pretty much rural land that surrounds, all of us till you get to St. Louis, Kansas City. Those are the nearest big towns. Other than that, in Springfield, it's all smaller towns in our state for the most part.
Okay, and I mean, if you were wanting, a property on 10 acres,
oh yeah,
and that's presumably obviously not 250,000, but you're not talking tens of millions for a few acres.
No, you can pick up a house with 10 acres. It's a regular, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for close to $350.
You realize that figure will blow people's minds.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to a guy last week, and he wants to move his whole farm from California. And he was like, I will never find, 10 acres somewhere for less than $2 million.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Where have you been looking? I think when you get to the Midwest, that's quite affordable. You're not going to be really close to some huge city, but if you're wanting acres, you're not wanting to be close to a city. You want to have amenities if you need them, but if you're looking for that kind of lifestyle where you're more off the grid, it is out there and it is affordable.
Absolutely. There's actually a house near my house that came on the market about a week ago. They're asking $1 million for it, and it's a 4-acre lot in town, and like a 5,000 square foot house.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's literally like right in the nicest part of town.
Yeah. Okay. So you cover multi-million-dollar houses all the way out to a very affordable kind of ranch property, a little bit more out. So we have to also talk about property taxes. What are your property taxes like?
So our property tax in general, on the average in Missouri, is right below 1%. It's 0.9, and the overall country average is 1.07. So we're a little bit below the average on property tax.
Okay, which is good. And if you're buying a beautiful property for 250,000,
yeah,
even if your property taxes were higher, you're not paying as much as you would if you had to buy the same property for 800,000.
Absolutely. I actually had somebody that I sold a house to from Texas, and they were shocked about the property tax here.
Yeah, what the property tax in Texas is crazy, but they don't have the income tax, so it kind of
very true.
It balances out. Okay. So we know you have great schools, very affordable. Property taxes is good. What about employment? Because obviously, you've got the 3 main towns, but do they have a lot of job opportunities for people moving there?
Yes, there's actually people hiring all over right now. I'm sure it's that way across most of the country, but there's a lot of people hiring right now. We have very large employers. We have, your Walmarts, obviously. Bass Pro is a big one. We've got Cox Hospital and Mercy Hospital. Those are also really big employers that we have here. And then we have lots of manufacturing.
Okay, and it's good to know. I was going to ask you about healthcare. So you obviously have all the, healthcare needs taken care of as well with big hospitals.
Yes, we actually have a part of town called the Medical Mile, because it's a mile long strip where there's just nothing but medical stuff all over there.
All right, wonderful. And so you said your market's hot, but
yes.
Are you, obviously multiple offers, but like tens of multiples, or just 3 or 4 people, or?
No, it can be, you can get up to 30 offers on a house. It's crazy.
Wow. And that's just because of lack of inventory.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like, I think due to the cost of things compared to other parts of the country, like we have just a constant flow of people moving here from out of state.
Yeah, it's those people who hear the magic, really nice home for 250,000. They're
right.
Like, yes, I want to go there. And then I have to talk about transportation. So like
sure.
the nearest airport, because obviously if people are moving from California, they want to know that they could get back to see friends and family. Where would be your nearest airport? Would it be St. Louis or Kansas City?
Nope, we have one right here in Springfield, actually.
Oh.
Right on the west side of town, yeah. So you can fly out. They don't service all areas, but you can usually get to where you need to from one of those.
Oh, good. And presumably very easy. It's not like, so I'm in Northeast Atlanta. So if you want to go through Atlanta, you have to get, it takes me like an hour to get to the airport, and you have to get there at least 2 hours early to get through security. It may be a direct connection, but it's actually normally easier to get to the airport and have like 20 minutes through security to your gate, and then connect somewhere, when you've done security.
Yeah, no, it's super easy here. Our airport's not anywhere near the size of the Atlanta airport. It's small, and it's not a huge traffic hassle or anything like that to get there. So
okay, perfect. All right. So then, because you are Midwestern, we do have to talk about tornadoes, because I have to ask anyone, because that is, people, particularly if you live in California and you have perfect weather can be scary if it's something that you've never dealt with.
Sure.
What kind of precautions can someone take for tornadoes, and what's your advice for dealing with tornadoes?
Yeah, so my advice to people is always just keep an eye on the sky. If you see the weather getting bad, we obviously have our weather radar and all that stuff. Just keep an eye on all that, and they're pretty good about giving us a warning about tornadoes coming. We do have tornado sirens. If there's a tornado warning, and you just go in your basement, or if you have a tornado shelter, there's not too many of those around anymore, obviously. But that's pretty much all you got to do. Just keep an eye on the news. I live here. It's sorry, go ahead.
So most of your houses have basements, do they?
Yes.
Okay, because I was talking to a lady, she's a realtor in Oklahoma City, and they don't have basements because of the water table, so they have tornado shelters. So because in Atlanta we all have basements, so on the very, very rare occasion we get a tornado warning, you just go in your basement.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. All right, well, that's good. When I talk to people, I always say, 9 months out of the year, the weather's going to be great wherever you live, and then wherever you live, there'll always be 2 to 3 months where it's not so great. It's winter storms in the Northeast, hurricanes in Florida, but all of those things you can predict. And even with a tornado, you get a couple of hours warning that there's a crazy storm cell coming through. Whereas Absolutely. California, you get no warning when the earthquake hits. Suddenly everything just starts shaking. So I'll take somewhat predictable weather any day over an earthquake.
Me too.
And then, so the rest of the year, so when is tornado season? Is it spring?
Yeah, it's spring. We occasionally get some in the fall, very rarely, but generally it's the springtime. Yeah, when the seasons are changing, you got your warm and cold airs coming in.
Okay, and what is your weather like most of the year? What are your summers and winters like?
So the winters have been pretty mild here lately. When I say mild, meaning you don't really see it get down below 15 degrees, 15, 20 degrees. It does happen occasionally, of course, but it doesn't, when it does come, it doesn't stick around. There's a funny joke about Missouri. They always say, if you don't like the weather, just give it an hour and things will change, because it does change a lot.
Yeah. And do you get much snow, or not really?
Not very much. And when we do, it's pretty much gone in a day or two. And we only get a couple inches. We do, like this past winter, we did get 10 inches, I believe is what it was. And that's the most we've had in years. So if you get to sled, it's a good summer. If you get to pull the sled out, it's a good winter if you get to pull the sleds out.
All right. And then summer, how hot does it get?
The hottest it usually gets is maybe around 100 to 102, but that's only going to last for right around August transition. Once you get through the middle of August, the temps start going down.
I always think it's sort of similar to Atlanta. Obviously, your winters are a little bit colder because you're a bit further north, but Sure. It's that kind of southern winter where, it can get cold and it can snow, but in general, it's much more kind of temperate than somewhere like the Northeast.
Absolutely. There's multiple times like in January or February where it'll be 60 to 70 degrees on a day or two. And I've honestly got out and got my kayak out and went floating down the river because it was so nice and it was just beautiful.
Okay. And then, so you talked about rivers earlier. Do you have it? Because obviously when you're right in the middle of the country, people worry that they'll miss the ocean. And I always tell people, as long as you're near some kind of water, actually, you know, like if you live in Northern California, it's beautiful looking at the ocean, but you're not going to go in it. And it's actually much nicer to be closer to a lake, because you can go in the lake in summers and kayak. Do you have any lakes close by?
Yes, we do. We have probably about 5 or 6 lakes within an hour to an hour and a half of Springfield. There's one lake that's called Fellows Lake that's only 20 minutes north of Springfield. So we've got lots of lakes and rivers around here.
Okay. And you presumably have that kind of boating culture where everybody has a pontoon, and, you know, when it gets up to, you know, 90 something, everybody's just out on the lake. Oh yeah, definitely. That's huge around here. Yeah. Well, that's how it is in Atlanta. You know, as soon as it gets warm, everybody's on a lake. Oh yeah. Well, wonderful. Sure. Well, anything else that you want to add that we haven't covered? I don't think so, other than if you guys are moving to Missouri or anywhere, I would definitely recommend to get all of your financing in order first. That way, if you do find a house, you can move on it quickly, because if you can't move quickly in this market, you're probably not going to get it. And I was saying that, I will also say, get yourself an agent who is a go-getter and can drop the hat, you know, whenever, and go out and show homes. Because again, it's tough and people are snatching them up quick. Yeah. I always like to talk about that stepping stone move, that in a really, really hot market, if you're desperate to leave whatever state you're in to have a much, you know, lower cost of living, a better standard of living, even if you put an offer in and it's not quite, you know, your perfect property, you've at least made that jump. You're going to start building equity. And then when the market calms down a little bit, then that's when you could maybe look for that perfect home. But it's not really the home that determines whether you're going to have a great life in a new state or not. When you find that perfect town that gives you everything that you want, if you're on that beautiful piece of property, even if the house isn't quite right, that's what remodeling's for. If you can find the contractor. I know you said the contractors. Maybe you need to get lots of contractors moving. I do. Maybe I should. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. Well, wonderful. Well, so if someone wants to work with you, how do they contact you? What's the best way? Yeah. So I try to answer my phone whenever, even I've had taken calls at 10, 11 o'clock at night. My phone number is 417-830-8705. And they can also email me at T as in Tyler Williamson at alpharealtymo.com. Okay, perfect. And wherever you're watching this video, I'll put all Tyler's information in the show notes and the comments so that they can reach out to you directly. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me. You've definitely sold me on Southwest Missouri. Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.